Hello, everybody. My name's Tyler, and welcome back to the podcast, to the show. My name's Tyler, and I I'm feeling I'm feeling in a particular mood. I'm feeling really reflective, and I do want to get better at it. Just because I'm in a situation where I know that I feel different from what's actually happening, but I've been getting more skeptical lately just because of my own actions. I feel very skeptical because I've been having more negative than positive results of my own actions or what I've said, and I know there'll be people to comfort me and say, just don't worry about it and you're going to be fine. And I hear you, but oftentimes when you make mistakes, the recipient of your mistakes, I have a strong belief that I'm very skeptical about my own apologies because it's not that they don't want to hear apologies, but I feel skeptical about apologies lately just because lately whether or not you make the apology, the moment you make the apology, it doesn't fix. Apologies haven't fixed the damage, and oftentimes I've been apologizing more than I would like because I come off very stoic and very sometimes emotionless, and I don't mean to be that way. It's just sometimes I say things coldly and I don't have the correct inflection to share what I mean, and that may or may not make another person a victim of, oh, he's insulting me. Oh, the words that he's saying means this in my head, because I'm always skeptical now because no matter what I say, I feel like if I say certain phrases, the recipient has the choice to take it at face value or to warp it. And I hate that my previous experiences are making me very skeptical because I don't know if I should even say anything anymore. Should I say things and just I don't know whether or not to say nothing or anything, because if I have to express how I feel, but also like the dark humor or the opposite side of appropriate may or may not come off in the same definition that I've put things in. So that also means I got in trouble last weekend, and I doubt I can really fix it. I'm gonna try to do better, but the damage is already done, and I wish the damage wasn't there. I don't mean for damage to be there. It's just it sucks that things can be warped in the other person's mind. Like if I were to say, this fashion looks like this, then despite my own inflections, I mean differently from what somebody says. To where someone says, tell me, like, yes, sir, or thank you, sir. Like, if they were to say, sir, in their sentences to me, they mean well in a form of respect. I feel differently. I feel old. I feel much older than I should be. I feel like, please, you don't have to call me sir. I would express, like, I'm not that old. Please don't be as polite. But also that's them being polite because they were raised to be that way, which is great. But also, in the same way that I'm taking the word sir too seriously, I feel skeptical because other people have taken my words out of context or my actions out of context. And I can't stop other people from taking my things out of context. I have to definitely fix my own interpretations, but it just sucks. People suck. I'm skeptical, but I want to love on people anyways, and I guess that's a great way to start things off, because one of the questions I have in front of me is, in 5 words, how do other people perceive me? for you. Um, so I may or may not ask this to to somebody else. If I would have a guest, hello guest. I don't have a guest to do that with, but I feel like when people look at me, people would describe me as stoic, which is not a bad idea, which is not a bad thing in some cases. But let's look up stoic for this in this situation. Stoic. A stoic is a person who can endure of or being. That's funny. Stoical. That's a word. Stoical. Enduring pain and hardship without showing one's feelings or complaining. There's got to be a better way to explain stoic, because not affected by showing, not affected by or showing passion or feeling. I wish there was a better definition. Another word would be apathetic, impassive, stolid. They neither perceive nor express much emotions. Generally, the strong, silent type. And it's not bad that I've been described as stoic. It's just because I. It's kind of like the lone stranger kind of look, which is not bad, but also I feel because I'm stoic in a certain way. I don't feel I'm not equally perceived as affable as I would like. And affable means approachable. I want to be affable, but oftentimes I've come across things like that where like it doesn't help. It doesn't help myself. Like there's a case in point to where, like, as much there are people. It's easy for someone who's stoic to be left alone very easily because people thrive off on emotions, right? Like if I were to share my favorite thing to you, and you look a certain way, like you look like you don't express much emotions, you may feel disinclined to express, hey, so this is pretty cool. And I can't have that sometimes. I just wish that I was able to really. I wish it was easier for me to show my emotions, and it's been more bad than good for me. But that's one word. Stoic. As much as stoic as I am, I have found myself to be very goofy. Just because it's unpredictable on when I switch off my stoicism, because um, during the photo shoot with with my housemates, I had often made jokes about getting down to my squatting pose, arms up, and go long, long, skinny, long, 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 skinny, skinny, long, long, kind of a rant, and that came from a podcast I listened to called "Go My Favorite Sports Team." But I tried to be funny and weird just to break tension. So yeah, sure, I'm goofy. I find myself to be very klutzy. I'm not. My dexterity is very low to where I would trip on myself, if not cause my own self some pain. I I really do try my best to be empathetic, and I do try to hear the conversation. I do want to hear people out when they have conversations. My in-law mentioned how in conversations in the time that I've seen him, I was in Texas for their wedding, and he noticed that I try super hard to be as present as possible in the conversation, and then that's great that I want to genuinely know the other person, but it also comes where I may be a little. It goes back to being stoic, just because I don't express emotions well, or much emotions. And I'll admit, The expression in the above question that stoic people are generally boring. Stone face. I just feel like because it's. I feel. I don't even know. I don't know how to. I can get angry. I can get angry sometimes, but it's. I don't express anger in good ways. Just because oftentimes when you're stressed, you then create forms of self harm. So self harm may include you punching into the dashboard like Markiplier, or you just neglecting certain care. There was a time where I just kind of may or may not have been very self. How do I express this? How do I say this? I don't know the right word, but self inflicting, self harming. Self harm isn't like very literal. Like I'm not doing that, but like if you forget to shower sometimes, or if you're so tired that, or if you're so stressed that you forget to eat, you forget to like touch grass. It's depriving myself of things. I find myself often doing by accident, and I am getting better on. I'm working on it. Oh god, there's another question. Can stoic people love? We love deeply and unashamedly. It's impossible to argue against it. However, they do so in their unique way, and yeah, as far as unique as things get, I wish that I wish the way that I expressed love was very obvious, but but it's sometimes very like in between the lines, like the devil's in the details. The way I express compassion and love is in between the details of how bad things can get, I guess. I don't mean to say that I'm bad. I just I I want to say examples of where I haven't been very helpful in my own situations, but at the same time I am trying to do better. Trying to do better. Let me cross that out. Let's just like toss this away. Sorry. As we're doing this live recording of I say live as we're doing this uncut recording of what I'm doing the podcast with. I'm just running into the questions that I've like listened through podcasts and wanted to express to somebody, but until I schedule that, I try to schedule. That's the worst part about it because I've been trying to schedule it, but I haven't had really made time. And some of the people that do make conversations with, they tend to. I don't blame people for leaving me on red. I respectfully understand that. Oh, you have your own life other than like reaching out to me, because like I understand that we had this conversation about this thing, but if things stack up onto you, then I can't help it. I can't fix your attention because your attention has to be at the thing that you're looking at. So I it sucks because I want to have these questions read with somebody else, but um I should probably work on that in the next in the oncoming future. I'm working on having a podcast host along with me. So like when I in 2023, I would like to plan on having someone to record with because at the moment I'm just talking to an empty void. There are no comments to really reflect on, and what can I say? What can I say? It's just it gets lonely. Definitely gets lonely. Let me see. Anything else that seems kind of fun? Sorry, sorry. But that's you know what? Since we're running out of to avoid the dead air, uh, let's go through some old questions that I made based on a random question generator. If everyone was a color, here was a color. If everybody here was a color, what color would each person be? That's fairly easy. I'd be gray just because I'm not very uh what's the word? I'm not upfront with a perspective. I can't like yes, no. I can't express explicit. Lately, I've been very skeptical with how I've been. I can't black or white say things, so I find myself to be very gray colored. Um, yeah, so let's do that. I just wish I had a better grip as to what I am and how to really answer certain questions. Uh, I need to get, now that I think about it, I should probably order the blank space, the empty space, just because those are cards that you ask questions with, and those are preset questions that people have asked. So I can't pull questions out of a hat anymore, and I just wish I was better at podcasting, but I do want conversations. That's like, I think that's the thing that we missed out on during the pandemic. It's just opportunities for conversation. But yeah, that's what I grew up missing conversation because I was raised to have my head down, and I was taught to go to work, to go to school, to go home because everything was riding on my grades. And I already talked in length about how my mom was in the household dynamic was based on grades. And so I wish I wish I was allowed to like keep my head up and out for opportunities when it came to making friends or sports that interested me. And if I failed on it, I wanted to choose to leave it. I want to make the choice of whether or not I like this or not, because I went into middle school wanting to do wrestling. I was firm in my own choice that I felt empowered that like, hey, I want to do this. And my mom said no because she was afraid of me getting injured. Well, I'm going to get injured regardless, right? Because I already had the conversation of my like growing up in domestic violence. I already made an episode about that, and I already talked about it. But I'm gonna get hurt either way growing up. So like, why not have wrestling? I wanted to wrestle because that seemed fun, and there's nothing wrong with like learning a certain like martial arts or like self defense. That's really good self defense. I just wish I was able to do that. I wish I had the opportunity to do wrestling and just try it out. Right? I wanted the chance to fail. What is something that you absolutely will not put up with? I I don't know. I oftentimes can't put up with myself, but that's a little bit too literal. I can't put up. I think if anything else, I would thank my brother for this, but at work, I can't help. I have a pet peeve against lack of urgency. Just at work has been really interesting to where like there's been a few coworkers that I can hear from across the lab that are just so loud and just they don't when I come into work. Granted, whether or not they're working like very long hours, like fine. I don't. If you listen to this, I want you to like take this with a grain of salt. Okay, Jude. I wish. Let's. I already said your name. I already said your name. But Jude, I have a problem with this particular person, Jude, where I see him just very playful more than he should be. Like I was like, here's the point. I was having a conversation with someone, um, on my break, and he goes on to his break, and as I'm talking with this person that is within was is like she had no problem like stopping for a conversation, could be a minute or so. Like it wasn't very urgent for her to come back to her place or at immediately, but I was having a conversation. He walks up, he forks around and starts pushing her cart towards her, and like I have to like, dude, Jude, stop, I'm having a conversation, stop. And like he was not having it. Like he is being uncomfortably flirtatious at work when I'm trying to have a conversation with this person. I'm trying to catch up, and you're walking in here pushing her cart and like being playful when you don't need to get fucking involved. forking involved with what's going on, and I wanted a situation where I was just having a conversation. But there's been other times to where Jude would just walk around at work, and I understand that he is working long hours to help out, and despite him being very, he's appreciated for his commitment, but also he is not. If he was very, if he had a sense of urgency with his work, he would have had more work done. Is what I'm trying to think. That's what I'm thinking about. Because whenever I can see him, he is like, he drops off work and he's having a conversation. I can hear him with other, his thought of socializing while working isn't in the best interest of other people, because other people are doing the job that's doing a job that is very productivity influenced. And if you're chatting up with somebody, your your whole interaction is going to affect people around that perimeter, around that epicenter. And Jude, you're probably fine outside of work, but at work, I just wish there was a certain amount of urgency where you've been very disruptive, whether or not people will admit it. There are equally enough people that who give you a pass, as much as people who quietly talk poorly of you. And I would like, it's a problem. I don't do anything about it because it's actually a problem for me, because I always end up getting my own work and doing things for myself. When you walk by me, you see things, you're responsible to just, if you see me low of work, you should, hey, here you go. But you've done that to almost everybody else. Like, it's like every female, particularly female. He's been very flirtatious with females. He's not very urgent when it comes to like the male employees. It's either mostly females or men who he has okayed that they will let him get away with it. But I'm having a hard time putting up with it, with the lack of urgency from Jude. But I'm sure outside of work you're fine. I'm sure that the other coworkers that who you met, you're fine with them. Please be a little urgent with your job. I don't know. I am just it's a micro aneurysm, but I have to deal with it. And I equally try to do my best with urgency, because I have developed a skill where I can have a conversation while working, or otherwise, if I don't have the time to really talk, then I will either put both my earbuds in, or I will be very short with my conversation. So I don't know. That Jude guy needs to like focus on his work. That Jude guy better be like, he's fine. He's probably fine. But I don't like it. I personally don't like it. And I think we're just gonna leave the episode right there, just because I've been a little angry. Actually, no. I can do. Let me see. Let me see. See the questions. Yeah, like I'll at least answer this. My what has been your biggest financial mistake? My biggest financial mistake has been believing that MLMs can work. My biggest mistake was with Amway. Don't partner with someone who works with MLM. But if anything else, do things with a grain of salt or a lot of salt. Because I tried very hard to believe that Amway was a good business model, and it failed. I failed because I lost money. I lost a lot of money, and I'm paying for it right now. I subscribed to Beachbody. The programs were really fun. I don't subscribe to the meal plans, because the meal plans put you in a situation where you're eating underneath your caloric needs, and you're gonna lose weight quickly, but that's because you're eating underneath your means. So if I were to redo things back in 2015, I would have jumped on Beachbody instead, and I just would have ate my. I would have subscribed more to the supplements and the workouts that they provided. They do have really good workouts. I think the problem is the dietary plans, because their 21-day fix or other is a really bad nutrition model. And do the workouts, I feel like, with a grain of salt. But yeah, definitely don't. I don't recommend most any MLMs, but I do accept Beachbody with a grain of salt. Am I being what is it? Hypocritical? Yes, but also my podcast. And Beachbody is a good workout. I have liked their Shakeology in the past. However, over time, the formula got really weird, so it's fine. Actually, let's look at Amway, just because. Let's see, the price is right for Amway Malaysia holding brand. There's an Amway Center. Interesting. There's a UFC. There's a stadium for Amway. Amway named one of the best places to work in Philippines. Well, okay. I mean, there's been a lot of testimonies of Amway being a bad business model as like the pyramid model, but the products are mid. I mean, I've tried some of the products. It's overpriced. Um, I don't think being a entrepreneur for Amway is a good idea. But if it's really, I mean, overall the promise of making passive income is kind of like, it's a really bad idea, and it's really expensive. It's really expensive to maintain. So don't do it. But if you want me to talk more about it, I probably can at some other time. But this is where the episode ends. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, please consider subscribing. And if you liked the conversation, correct me. Tell me what I'm wrong about in the comments down below, and we'll have a discussion from there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, my name's Tyler. I'm your friend. And I'll see you next time. Bye.